What's the best thing about duct tape? It turns no, no, no into mm. What's up, weirdos? Scott here. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. I got a cat sleeping next to me, which looks like he's starting to get up. So if you see a fur baby crawling across the screen, that's why. I apologize. I thought keeping his bed would be a smart idea. I thought keeping his bed right next to my recording area would be a smart idea. So if this is your first time on the channel, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the content. Real quick, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. It's LETS_DOITUP. Let's do it up on Instagram. Hi, buddy. And if you want to send a knife or knives into the channel for review, just go ahead and send me an email at letsdiu79@gmail.com. letsdiu79@gmail.com. Just send me an email. I'll send you my shipping address. Send me the knife or knives. I'll spend a week or two with them, review them, and send them back to you. And real quick, today I am doing a review of my new acquisition, the the Jack Wolf Knives Gunslinger. I always want to call this the sharpshooter. I don't know why. I'm an idiot. This is the one that I wanted. This is the Gunslinger. This is the manual version of the sharpshooter. Apparently, Jack Wolf Knives has done two versions of their knives in a manual. They did this one, the Gunslinger, which is the manual version of the sharpshooter, and they also did the After Hours Jack, which is this one right here. This is the manual version of the Midnight Jack. I like this one a lot. I definitely like the blade profile better on this one. I like the action on this one, but my buddy Ian has owned this for quite a while. I don't know how long, but he's owned it for a while. I've only owned mine for about a week now, so my action isn't as good. But everything else on my knife I like more than Ian's knife. Not really the profile of the handle, but just the way the milling is done on the handle of mine and everything, the aesthetics as well. But I'm just going to use this one to compare to once we get into the review. But first and foremost, let's do it up, y'all. All right. So this guy is not a huge knife by any means, but definitely I think it considers as a full-size knife. It feels like a full-size knife. Just a little bit of a shorter, slimmer version of what I'm normally used to carrying. So our overall length here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point. I'm going to say between 7.25 and 7.5 inches overall, which yes is much smaller than what I normally carry, but this guy lives in my fifth pocket pretty comfortably. We'll get into that in just a few minutes here. The entire blade on this guy, 1, 2, 3 point, I'm going to say 3.25 inches overall, and just shy, right between 2.75 and 3 inches for the cutting edge. You do have a nice little sharpening choil cut into this. I like the way that they did that actually. A full flat grind. A full hollow grind on this guy, which brings it down to a very thin cutting edge. Obviously, this is a clip point profile knife, and it does have a fuller on each side that you can use to deploy the knife. The billboarding on the show side just says Jack Wolf Knives. Just Jack Wolf. And the billboarding on the other side says S90V. It's kind of hard to see if I'm not sure how good of a picture you're getting from that, but you know it is kind of hard to read right off the bat. But I was able to figure out that that's what that said. And obviously this knife is coming in S90V. This guy is running on bearings. As you can see, very good action. It drops straight down when I take the lock bar away. Then it kind of very, very smoothly in almost the Chris Reeve fashion hydraulically slides back down into that handle. As you can see here, the detent is very, very good. The detent takes over and just sucks the blade right back down into the handle once it gets to the break point right there. As you can see, the deployment is very good. You can top flip this guy, which took me a few minutes to figure out, but that's probably the most satisfying deployment method for me. I like the top flipper a lot on this guy. I can kind of shake this shut, so it's not as smooth as the Midnight Jack is. As you can see, it takes quite a bit of shaking to get it to shake shut, but it is loosening up quite a bit. The centering there is very, very good, as you can see, and it looks like we are locking up. Whoop, wrong side. We're locking up at about 45 or 50%, which I'm okay with that. Very thick, robust lock bar. It doesn't really look like it's going anywhere, and it does have a stainless steel over travel stop and lock bar insert. Why did that take me so long to remember? The other opening methods for this, you can finger flick it, which works very, very well. When I do it right, it takes a little bit of the material off your fingernail here, a little bit on this fuller. It is a little bit sharp, but it's not terrible. I don't think it's something that's worth, criticizing the knife over. You can slow roll this open, and you can kind of thumb flick this guy, but it's not the easiest thing in the world, and I feel like I'm going to cut myself if I do. As far as the front flipper is concerned, it's very, very odd. This being a smaller knife, it does not operate the way that I would expect it to. Normally with front flippers, I didn't think to bring any with me because I'm an idiot, but normally with front flippers, what I have to do is I have a big hand, so to keep it from slipping or hitting it the wrong way or whatever, I always have to really be conscious of where I'm putting my hand, and it's not a very relaxed thing for me to do. But I can get it to open like that if I really try and I'm very concentrated on it, and it just seems like a lot of work to me. But I figured, I'd play around with it for a little bit and see what happens. And I've actually found that the more relaxed my hand is, even though this is a much smaller knife, sorry if I'm shaking the camera there, guys. Even though this is a much smaller knife, it's very counterintuitive for me to be able to open this the way that I've learned to. I just keep my hand really, really relaxed, and then the thumb flick worked much better for me. It's not as difficult, it's not as uncomfortable, it's not as awkward. It's just easier with my hand completely relaxed, hitting that front flipper button. It works every single time, and it's surprising to me, but keep that in mind if you get this knife and you're kind of trying to figure out how to work the front flipper. I'm not sure how most people feel about it, but I always have a hard time. But it seems to me that the more relaxed I keep my hand with this guy, the easier it is to work the front flipper. The knife has a titanium backspacer, a full-length backspacer to kind of give this the appearance of a modern or traditional slip joint. Just maintaining that aesthetic, and I like that a lot. And I really like the way this is anodized here. See if I can show you without blurring. The whole backspacer is anodized blue to match up with the hardware and the pivot. You've got quite a bit of, I think they called it crisscross hatching or something like that. It's kind of like diamond texturing, almost like a gun stock, which this is shaped like a gun stock, so that makes sense. But it is very, I don't want to say aggressive, but it's very, it's very, very grippy. Very, very grippy. This would qualify as a Vaseline factory knife. It almost feels like pointy knurling, which is, it's kind of a little bit crazy, but sorry, Hamlet's coming into the room, so he's going to start announcing his presence. I apologize, guys. But it's very, very grippy. My wife actually says it's uncomfortable for her to hold just because of how grippy this is, but I have no problem with this whatsoever. I've got calloused hands. It doesn't really bother me all that much. The jimping on the back of the blade here is also quite, I don't want to call it fine, but it's sufficient enough to keep you locked in. No problem with that whatsoever. Very, very comfortable lines here. Obviously, it kind of swoops up here and goes straight out, so you've just got two areas here that are very open, easy to move around a little bit. You can choke up on this guy a little if you need to. The pinch grip on this guy works absolutely very fantastically. I love using the pinch grip on this guy. I've opened quite a few packages with this. Obviously, as you guys know, that's pretty much, the gist of my entire knife usage is just opening packages, cutting tape and string and wire and stuff like that. Not necessarily wire, but you know what I mean. I didn't do the size comparisons. I apologize. Let me get those on the mat and show you how this guy compares. So compared to the Rat Model 1, the Rat Model 1 obviously is going to be quite a bit longer than this knife. The Rat Model 2 obviously is going to be just a little bit shorter than this knife. Not by much though, definitely closer to the size of the Rat 2. Compared to the RSK MK1 G2 from Ritter Hogue, Doug Ritter's response to the Benchmade Griptilian. Love this knife. You can see that's quite a bit larger than the Gunslinger, and the 80-20.5 is just a hair longer than this knife. I wouldn't say a lot, but just a hair. Sorry, I've got some dust on my mat from my my new knife case. I will have to make sure to clean these off before I get these out of there from now on. Okay. Nature of the beast. And last but not least, compared to the SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2, the SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2 obviously is going to be quite a bit longer than the Gunslinger, and the Para 3 is going to be just a hair shorter than the Gunslinger. Carry profile, compared this to the Para 3. Thickness when compared to the Para 3, it looks like it's just about the same thickness, I'd say. I was almost going to say that it looks a little bit thicker, but I don't know. I don't think it actually is. It looks about the same to me. And height when compared to the tallest part of this knife is nowhere near, as you can see, as tall as the Gunslinger. I mean, sorry, nowhere near as tall as Para 3. So carry profile is good on that guy. Let's get a weight here. Ugh. Sorry guys, forgot where I put my scale for a second. Okay, I want to say this is under 3 ounces, but I could be wrong. Might be just a little bit over. All right, here we go. Okay, 3.3, so it's a little bit over 3 ounces, which is still very, very lightweight. I don't notice this thing in the pocket at all, whether I carry it in the 5th pocket or the regular pocket or which pocket, doesn't matter. Let's get a blade stock thickness. Can I get a thickness? Sorry guys, I have to do it. All right, I want to say this was pretty, yeah, 116, 117 thousandths. Yeah, probably closer to 115 thousandths. So yeah, that's definitely a very thin blade stock, making for a very, very thin cutting edge. I mean, I don't know if I can show this to you guys or not, but you can see that this has got a very thin cutting edge on it. Very, very thin. I don't like putting the calipers up to the bevel just because I don't feel like I ever get an accurate reading that way. I always feel like I'm moving around too much. But I absolutely love the grind lines on this blade. As I've said before, I prefer a light stone wash over grind lines, or over a belt satin finish, but the belt satin finish gives you the grind lines, and the grind lines are my favorite. Obviously this is a frame lock. Believe this is not milled out. Yeah, no, this is not milled out on the inside at all. But as you saw when I weighed it, it's not that big of a deal. Very comfortable knife, very good size. Let me go ahead and compare it to the After Hours Jack for just a few minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I also meant to show you the pocket clip here. So this is the pocket clip from my knife. You can change that out and put in a filler tab instead. I forgot to show you that as well. So yeah, you can take this pocket clip off and just put this filler tab in instead. I chose to do that just because I'm not a huge fan of pocket clips anyway. Normally I keep titanium pocket clips on my knives, but since this one has a filler tab, I was happy to change that out. Now, you'll see here on the Gunslinger, I'm sorry, on the After Hours, that the pocket clip is exactly the same. It's just anodized a different color. So you can see that there. And as far as size and everything is concerned, when these guys are closed, this is just about exactly the same length. You can see they're both front flippers. The blade on the After Hours Jack is just a little bit taller than the highest point of the blade on the Gunslinger. You do have a little bit of milling here on the the titanium for the scales, but not a whole lot. Nowhere near as much as is on the Gunslinger with the scales that particular scales that I chose. They do have other smooth titanium scales that they have inlays on and stuff like that. But you know, just compared to these two knives, I like the finish on this guy better. Let's get these guys opened up so you can see them for all their beauty and wonder. So as you can see opened up, they're both just about the same length. The cutting edge on the After Hours is slightly shorter than the cutting edge on the Gunslinger. Really the only difference is the blade profile and the length on the Fuller. The action on both, like I said, this one's definitely smoother than mine for sure. You can just shake that a couple of times and it falls right down in. Mine, it'll fall the same speed with the lock bar moved, but once the lock bar is back in place, it takes quite a bit of shaking to get that to go back down in. But it's starting to loosen up. And like I said, I really enjoy the top flipping action on this guy. It's the only top flipper I've ever used that I've enjoyed using. And the only thing that I've noticed is you got to be careful to make sure you keep your finger off of the lock bar, because any pressure on the lock bar on this guy will cause you to not be able to deploy the blade. Just saying. See? Any pressure at all. So yeah, I think this was a very good purchase for me. I know that my buddy Ian is very happy with his After Hours Jack here, and I can understand why that is as well. I'm probably going to end up buying this guy as well. I like the way they shape the scales. It kind of looks like a coffin to me. I will be doing a brief review on this guy just because it's got a completely different blade shape, and I believe they're both hollow ground. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is hollow ground. So they're both hollow ground. I don't know, maybe I won't do a full review on the After Hours. Maybe this will just be the whole thing. I don't know. I mean, they're similar enough to where I don't think another review is actually warranted on this guy, but I definitely like it a lot. I'm glad I got to look at this version so that I could decide for myself whether I wanted to buy another one of these knives or not. The quality on mine is sufficient. These are very expensive. They usually run at around $350, which is a lot, especially for a knife of this size. But I would say that the quality adds up here. I would say that they definitely make it worth the price, in my opinion, especially with everything else you get. You get a nice big rag. You get the tin canister that it comes in. You get a POG. You get some stickers. They even put a salt packet in there to, you know, preserve the integrity of the knife. So yeah, I think they do a very good job with their labeling, their packaging, the quality of the knife. The fit and finish is absolutely fantastic on these guys. I couldn't ask for anything better. I even like the way the titanium looks after it has all the oil and everything on it, and it's all stained, and you can see it's just kind of a very matte, almost like a concrete type finish. I like that a lot. I think it's really, really beautiful, especially in contrast with the blue hardware here. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I don't really know what else I can tell you about this guy, but very comfortable knife, very fun to use. Not a terrible price. I would definitely recommend it if you're interested. But stay up, weirdos. Take it easy. Bye.